Well, and
because
it's not just in the party. Look at the Hawaii state constitution. It's being trampled on. Sunshine laws are being, all kinds of laws are being
oh yeah,
suspended
the
by Josh
Sunshine
Green
Law is
right now.
being totally, I mean, it's crazy right now, the violations, and we don't know what the courts are going to do. I mean, you know, I've been retaliatory, you know, rather
Retaliated
than
against.
rather than resolving the underlying governance issues.
Well, yeah, you said before we started talking that actually they've, like, instead of facing your court case, which is civil, now they're like retaliating against you and like trying to sue you. Can you tell us the details of what is this suit against you?
Well, there's no suit against me. I have a lawsuit against them to try to bring them back into their governing
Oh,
documents.
oh, that's right.
So
And they retaliated by saying that they're trying to
they're
suspend you or to remove
well,
you.
what they did is they set up a illegitimate disciplinary committee. They sent me in writing saying that if you don't, uh, you know, stop this lawsuit, that we're going to suspend you. I mean, none of this is in the bylaws. They can't do that. They have to go follow their own governing documents about how to discipline, and it's all laid out, not only in our bylaws but in Robert's Rules of Order, and also the Hawaii Revised Statutes. So this my lawsuit is supported by substantial documentation and sworn exhibits. The conduct in issue includes, but the formation of a so-called disciplinary committee without authority under the HRP bylaws. They have to do that. They have to take it to a state convention in order to change the bylaws to add that temporary or standing committee. And then
Right. So let's say we work at the post office and you don't like me. So you're like, I'm going to just form this committee against the rules of the post office and just
yeah,
get you out. And
yeah,
right. So, or
yeah.
like you work at UPS or you work at the labor, anywhere.
It's discriminatory.
Hmm.
It, and we have a non-discrimination clause in our HRP bylaws, so they're violating that too. But it doesn't matter to them. They're pretty much a top down. They're running it from top down, and
Well, and I saw exactly the same thing happen when Scott Adam was the Maui County Republican chair. Sheila Walker, Mele Song Song, Netra Halprin, and Diamond Garcia all colluded. I think Lynn Finnegan was part of that to have another top down slate where they just put out a bunch of names on a piece of paper. The Democratic Socialist named Netra Halprin was there running next to Sheila Walker, and they're hosting their own meetings and just like fake it till you make it and saying like, "Oh, we're the thing, we're legit," and they wouldn't let Scott Adam into the meeting. And then like I called a whole bunch of people, texted them, and said, "I'm not going to tell you who's honest and who's not. You're going to go down there and find out for yourself and see what's going on." So like, and
yeah,
I
but
think
people get really, really, they don't have the bandwidth sometimes, and I understand this fully. I mean, you really do have to have the bandwidth. It has to mean something so much to you to try to get this right, to bring it back into, a conservative party that we are. I mean, right. The Maui County Republican Party, our executive committee has consistently insisted, you know, that HRP leadership follow its own rules and respect the lawful role of the county committees, and it's not doing that. And we've got bigger problems now that are going on. More recently, HRP leadership is trying to, and we've had money issues with this exact same kind of leadership before. This particular leadership that's leading now, I mean, they cost the party $60,000 several years ago.
so. I'll
For
name names. I'm talking to you, Shirley and Ostrov.
so anyway, they're now saying that the party may owe substantial state income tax or capital gains tax or GE tax, in connection with the Kapiolani building that was sold on Oahu, and they're suggesting hiring outside accounting firms at significant expenses in order to investigate this. But what
I
they don't
wonder whose
know,
friends are getting paid along the way. Hmm.
Well, and then the state committee, they don't really follow it. They're just listening to what the executive committee on the state level is saying and telling them. And they're kind of picky and choosy about who they're letting in on phone calls and, you know, committees and all that stuff. But, I just want to set the record straight, that in respect to the federal tax status and capital gains, the Hawaii Republican Party is a political organization and it is exempt. Okay. And the Kapiolani property was used exclusively for party and political purposes. And so, under that federal tax law, proceeds from the sale of the property used solely for exempt political purposes are not subject to capital gains taxation. So, any kind of narrative that they're telling you that they're saying, oh, we owe this money here, we owe this money, it's like, why would they be saying that? To maybe withdraw money to, I don't know. I have no idea, but it is just a false narrative. And as far as the GE tax, you know, uh, we're not engaged in business activity as defined by the Hawaii Revised Statutes. So the sale of the party headquarters, used exclusively for exempt political functions does not constitute taxable activity under the GET laws. And so that doesn't apply. So there again, it's a false narrative. So, the HRP has maintained both federal and non-federal accounts. We've shared expenses and proceeds that were allocated pursuant to the statutes and the laws, and these allocations were implemented through, another third party, and the reporting was completed through federally mandated disclosure processes. So, and the Campaign Spending Commission, held an account that no state reporting obligation exists. So, the party back on the previous administration consulted quality professionals. We were there. I sat in some of those meetings, and the RNC
Right, that
also,
was former chair Tamara Mackay that
right.
Got the party out of debt, got it out from off of the barrel because it was kind of being held over a barrel by the Oahu League of Republican Women. I think that's the narrative that I recall, and like the rental contract with that property.
But it's been in the past now, and now they're trying to say that all these taxes and all this money, it's basically they're misrepresenting and misunderstanding the party's tax position. There's no such liability that they're trying to identify. And so this really, my bells are going off and I'm like, what the hell is going on? So, here again, this particular leadership has cost us money in the past. And, we know that the treasurer, it doesn't have access to all the accounts like he should per
So let me just distill that down. Let's say I'm going to put on my like villain cap for a minute and think like, okay, I want to get into this state chair position so that I can like make some money. How am I going to do it? Because there's all these political donations going around. There's all this stuff, lots of handshaking, fancy dinners, putting money in Mahu's
traveling
shorts, pay the trannies or whatever. So yeah, if I was going to just put on that mindset and try to figure out how to get a grift, I would need to have an excuse for an expenditure, right? So you're telling me right now that in fact, like the books are all like clean, everything's clear, there is no capital gains tax for political parties.
We don't know why.
But yeah, we need to pay an expensive accountant and do all these like things to kind of juggle numbers around and bill out $500 an hour maybe or some crazy number.
Well,
I'm just throwing that out there.
Under the current administration, there's no the disclosure is not happening. The transparency is not happening. They claim there's no Trump victory account. That's a lie. So they're, basically fostering a narrative that raises serious concerns about the financial transparency and internal accountability of the party. So this is a huge problem with me. And so I'm hopeful that this lawsuit, that a judge sees and recognizes the violations and doesn't, just throw it out of court because, we're such a blue state. So we'll see. But my next hearing is on February 5th. It's at 9:30 in the morning in courtroom 3. It's on the 4th floor in the Maui County Courthouse. So if you want to come and observe, your presence and moral support are appreciated. I don't like to do this. I get PTSD every time I walk into a courtroom. But, I just didn't see any other options. And, believe me, I've filed objections, I've filed appeals, I've filed all the internal remedies that I possibly could have, went after with the HRP, uh, executive committee branch, but they are they're running me over and they're doing whatever the hell they want to do. And if we can't get this party back into alignment with its own governing documents, then I don't want to have any part of it. And I'm sure the county committee doesn't either, but I can't speak for them. But for me personally, what's the point if we can't get, I like the governing documents. I, believe in, this country being built on law and order, but
Well, and I think that's why these
lawlessness,
insane people fight so hard when they see people like you who go in there. They try to single you out, make you feel like you're the only one fighting the good fight, and just like divide and conquer us and just wear us out until like we just don't want to deal with this ridiculous clown show anymore.
Yeah, Maui County, the executive committee of Maui County, this team is amazing. We are all solid patriots. We, maybe have one that is actively going against Maui County Committee. And so, we're pretty blessed that we have really kind of done a little bit of work to make sure that we have really good members that are really conservative and really want to uphold policy. And, we follow our governing documents, but when you have, and we do believe in that grassroots, kind of like, from the bottom up, that, we form these committees, we get out in the counties, our own counties, and our own counties, they go to the convention, they choose their leaders. We set the priorities, we communicate with our members, so I believe that, this top down heavy handed or tyrannical, things that they're doing is just not what the Republican Party is meant to be. And so this is my, last, like, little bit of strength that I have to try to get them back and realigned and get them upholding their own governing documents. And so we'll see what happens.
So, thank you again for all that you do, all that you have done. I'm glad that we are at this stage in history rather than what our founding fathers had to go through in the icy winters, crossing rivers at night, losing limbs.
Well, if everybody can, be a team like this Maui County team is, I mean, we would have a much better party. But unfortunately, we've got, a lot of people that are pretenders, I think. They pretend to be conservative and pretend that but their behavior.
Right. Or pretend to be God loving and team humanity loving.
But their behavior, it just is totally tyrannical.
But I want to speak on what you said about the team in the Maui County Republican Party. I had been traveling around Hawaii for a few years with like Joe Akana on his congressional campaign, filming him and going to different islands. and I saw all these different groups, and I would split off and go connect and try to like see which groups are fighting which mandates or on like working on what laws or on free the water, free the children from the fake schools. There are all these little pockets doing different things, and to be very honest, lots of them are just kind of smoking blunts. Like Joe Akana, no blunts. He's all about it, military precision, like senior Air Force intelligence officer kind of guy. But like when I'd split off, I'd go see all these different groups, but then when I went to a Republican Party meeting here on Maui, I saw like organization and people that actually care about the children, who believe that there is a higher power than the government, that the government doesn't give us our rights or privileges, they call it. They don't grant us privileges or rights. Those are given by a higher power. And
right, our God-given inalienable rights.
And that's when I joined the Republican Party, because I wanted to come in and be like, okay, I'm going to sniff out, see who's good, because I know there's plants in every group. Since people tried to infiltrate, actually, Netra Halprin, Sheila Walker's good friend, the current Hawaii Republican Party leadership, losership. Let's call them losership, because they can't actually create anything. They got to rob, cheat, and steal.
Yeah, and I think
losers.
I don't want to speak ill will to anybody. I just want to kind of focus on.
Yeah, no ill will. I love them. But this is MF TV logo going up there. I put the MF up there. And I just wrote a disclaimer as well. So my thoughts and opinions are my own. I don't represent the Republican Party or Maui County Republican Party. That's Maui Freedom TV speaking. Sorry, go ahead, Tammy.
Well, we have bad actors and we have pretenders. And in order to bring this party back into more of our principles and our values, our conservative ideology, we have to get it to follow its own governing documents. We have an administration that doesn't want to do it. Now they're trying to, and they're not being transparent about anything. They're not letting people in. That's not who we are, they're trying to censor, so they censored me. They're trying to discipline anybody that they wish to. They're just running amok, and so I'm trying to rein them back in. The Maui County Republican Party, our executive committee, is trying to rein them back in and get them back in alignment with their own governing documents. And this doesn't have anything to do with internal disputes so much anymore. This is about corporate law, and so hopefully I can make some progress. That's the only reason why I'm still here, is because I'm still, hopeful that maybe we can rein them in a little bit.
Yeah, well, what you're doing and what the growing number of truthers and just tired of it all, enough already kind of people in Hawaii, like every little bit that we do helps. And I was talking to a controversial figure. His name is Carl from Clean House Hawaii on Oahu. He is loved and hated. And what I really love about him is that he is a man in a wheelchair, that when he drags that wheelchair up like 13 floors to be part of a town hall that they tried to keep him out of, the people in the room, like the police commissioners and the mayor over there on Oahu, they start shaking in their boots because they're so scared of this man in a wheelchair, because he studies the law and he files paperwork against them and he uses their system against them.
Yeah, but we have a corrupt system too. Not everybody. There's good and bad in everything. And so I'm sure there's good people in there that are, following their own governing documents, just like the judges. But as we
but he's proven that they're not. Like they haven't taken their oath in like 50 years or something, is what I heard.
So this lawsuit, depending on which direction it goes, but if I see that there's really not going to be any accountability for this organization, then I will probably most likely, get out. But until then, I'm hanging in there. We have our precinct election meetings, so if you do want to be a delegate, and the more patriots we get in here, that also helps. So you know, if you want to become a delegate, you can get to the you'll have a ticket to the state convention, which happens in May, and this year it's on Oahu. It's on our districts are 9 through 14. So, but it's on February 12th from 5 to 8 p.m. You have to email me to sign up.
Can I put your email up there?
Yes.
Yeah, if you say it, I'll type it.
It's chair at MauiCountyGOP.com.
Maui County, let me spell that right. GOP, big GOP.com. We'll just do that.
Yeah, and it's a way to get involved in some of this stuff because, too many good people have sat by and done nothing and just think that it's all going to work itself out. But we really need some good patriots.
Yeah. Well, and they're also busy working 9 to 5, 2 jobs. And sometimes we got to make that sacrifice for the future and be uncomfortable and difficult now. Like, this has made me broker, guys, But
There's
I'm not.
no room to complain if you don't, legally and lawfully become a delegate so that way you can vote at these very important conventions.
So that we can stop this Agenda 2030 agenda that they're trying to roll out these digital slave cities here in Hawaii. And you stop it with policy, guys, and understanding, learning the system, Robert's Rules of Order, learning how to beat these guys in their own place, because otherwise they're just going to keep shipping in people that are taking away your stuff. Oahu's looking like San Francisco right now with all these tweakers and all this craziness and all this violence. Hawaii.
Well, and if you take a look at Melinda, and Bruce, which just got back from Oahu, they submitted that citizens memorandum. They had over 1,000 signatures. They had 2 bills. They met with all 50 legislators. And so they put the bills in their hands. So we're going to see what happens there. And that's just to protect our medical freedom, the freedom to choose, the freedom of religion, so we can opt out if we do, like for religious exemptions for vaccines. And also too for this crazy ass bill it's a a biosecurity bill where they can take your property and your animals. They don't even have to give you warning. They don't have to give you notice. They can do it just because they think you have some alien bug on your property or something.
They could just make it up. Reason. Just like Shirlene made up an excuse to spend money. And let's watch where that money goes, Shirlene. How you going to make it disappear this time, Shirlene Copperfield?
So
you're going to find out.
If we don't get involved, then those kinds of bills get passed because we've got such a tyrannical Democratic Party right now that's ruling from top down and slowly funneling us into slavery. We're already slaves by paying property tax and income tax, but
if you're paying tax on it, you don't own it because dudes with GUNs will show up and enforce on you. And as we see from Joe and Kaleakana's case, these cops don't know the laws, and they think that they can tase you 4 times when you're not violent, when you're not threatening violence. Yeah, they will use violence against us ultimately, guys, and Josh Green's administration is proving it over and over again on you and your friends, your family.
Yeah.
So, I put your email up just above me. For the folks on Instagram, you can go over to x.com/standwithttt. That is Tammy's X handle there. And I guess we're just going to have to keep talking about it, keep blasting it out, because
I'm going to do my best to just kind of create awareness and and just see what happens. We'll see what Maui County does. And, because we all have an opportunity to turn this around, but we have to get involved.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Well, thank you so much again, Tammy, for everything
You're
that you are
welcome.
doing. Folks can reach out at chair, CHAIR, at Maui County GOP. That's MAUICOUNTYGOP.com. It's real. We got media and lawfare. She's doing the lawfare, and you are the media. I'm only one guy, and as you can see from this podcast format, I'm stumbling my way through it. And if a dummy like me can do it, then a smarty like you can do it mo better. So please,
Thank you,
everybody, this is
Andrew.
your call to action. Do it mo better and speak the truth. Love to everybody. Thanks,
Okay.
Tammy. Talk to you
Okay.
soon. Aloha and a hui ho. FaceTime Aaron Cannon. FaceTime audio Tom Lewis.
The fact that strangers care. You know, all four, I had four different fathers. They were all broke. They all worked their tails off. And I remember vividly, just vividly, thinking to myself, my dad always said, no one